We still got to figure out how to cut the audio until we go live. I know there's a way of doing it.
Yeah, I could feed it into the mixing board and do some fancy things, but I'm not at the office today, if you didn't notice.
Yeah, fade in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's crazy about the chip shortage is I live right by the Flint GM truck plant, and there's literally thousands of trucks just sitting in this dirt field. I'm like, it can't be good for the trucks to just be sitting on the grass out there. But they have security guards, all these temporary lights.
Oh, I heard that the Fords that are sitting out in the fields, and I don't know if it's the same for General Motors, but Ford has been using a soy-based wire, and the mice have found them and started eating the wires.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. No shit.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Soy-based wires. And the mice are eating them.
Well, you know, the car's made out of soy and it's powered on corn, you know?
Yeah.
That's a rat hole I don't think we want to go down.
No.
We're already setting high expectations with Dan Sayer, it looks like.
Fancy
Uh-oh.
things. I like it. You guys should have Dan on sometime, too.
We have.
Okay. Yeah. We'll have to get him back on soon.
Yeah, he's got to have something interesting to talk about. Dude's boring as hell.
Yeah.
He's one of the only dealer groups that, you know, has his own custom in-house websites with Chad. So it's pretty cool.
Dan does some cool stuff. Not like you guys over there.
Yeah, DG is who we look up to. So, I always point out to dealers where I'm like, make our site more like DG.
And
does wake you up.
Hollywood Squares. Yes.
So the show's still on.
Oh, Brian fell off. That was quick.
Uh-oh.
We lost Jake and Ryan.
I was going to say he's joining Jake.
Oh, that's funny. Although, hopefully his connection will be a little better when he comes back. He was a little pixelated. But, hello, everybody.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
What's up, Alex?
How we doing?
What's going on, Nathan? How are you?
I'm good. Excited to be here. It's some fun topic, so excited to just share and also learn.
Awesome.
Yeah, get your Refresh Friday tie cut. All right. So how long we want to give Ryan before we dive right in?
No.
Oh, here he comes. All right. There you go. Ryan's back.
Okay, I am back.
What happened
Our
to
IT department flagged my internet because it's taking up too much bandwidth and disconnected me.
Are you serious?
For real?
That's awesome.
Policing the bandwidth.
Yeah.
I miss dealership IT departments.
You mean their lack of?
We had a Nazi of one at the Checkered Flag when I was there. Man, he wouldn't let you get away with anything.
They're always
Was-
fun.
Yeah, I mean,
That's those nerdy guys that have figured out control in their life. We now have control.
Yeah. So,
yeah, with
should we introduce some people?
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
I don't think Ryan needs much introduction.
I was going to introduce Jake first.
Yeah, well, Jake's not joining us.
Yeah, so if you didn't notice, Jake gypped us. He had to jump out the last second. So hopefully we can get him on a future one.
Yeah, he said he wants to, for sure.
Yeah. He caught up with us last night. Good dude. I'd never met him before.
yeah,
Yeah, he's in my backyard. Didn't even realize it.
And then we have Ryan Everson. I'm just going from top left over. And so I don't think Ryan needs any introduction to the dealer refresh community. He's about as a staple of it as you or me, Jeff, probably.
Yeah, really.
So
yeah. Digital marketing director at Garber. So we have 23 franchise stores and then 41 subprime stores. Been here 10 years and started on dealer refresh as soon as I found it and been participating ever since.
yeah, man, we appreciate it, Ryan. And then Nate, he's coming from, well, actually, Nate, from the comments here, it looks like you've got some fans who are following you.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's a few of those come up. Didn't realize. I'm usually like locked in my box here and don't get to get out to events and stuff like that very much. So, yeah, no, excited to be here. I've been with DGDG for about 7.5 years. Prior to that, I worked for a digital advertising agency for about 2.5 years, but started my career in retail automotive back in 2006. So, from selling cars on the front line to running an internet team, and then having a really cool ad agency experience, and then bringing all that knowledge back to automotive retail. So it's been a fun journey.
And how's your IT
Nice.
department?
It's actually it's pretty good. We've got a team of people here to try and keep things up and running. So normally things are running smoothly. Every now and again we have hiccups, but that's just technology these days, unfortunately.
Very true. A nice diplomatic answer. That was your chance. All right.
No, certainly don't want to upset any of them if they happen to be watching here today. That's for sure.
So, let's see. You guys want to start with in-house marketing departments? Since you two are experts in that area. And
So both of you, you've brought all your marketing in-house, and do you leverage anything outside other than maybe for traditional?
Yeah, I'll start. So we the only thing that we really use outside is if there's some sort of OEM mandate, like if we're not going to get co-op dollars for doing it ourselves, then which is pretty much General Motors and now Stellantis. But everything else we run in-house, and then we use an outside agency on the traditional side for the media buy. But our team, we put all of our creative together in-house, so we're not using just your typical boilerplate OEM footage with like our boilerplate at the end with just our name and our address. We're actually creating everything in-house with 3 full-time videographers as part of the team.
that's cool.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
How far are your dealerships from the main hub?
So I think the farthest one is about 50 miles up in the North Bay in Vallejo, and then the vast majority are here in San Jose.
Oh, okay.
So all driving distance. We kind of do that on purpose. Our leadership likes to be able to go and drive to a dealership and roll up their sleeves and get involved if the store's struggling or needs help, things like that, rather than jumping on a plane and being fragmented out. And for us, I think that one of the benefits has been having a more recognizable brand as an automotive dealership to consumers. So everyone's seeing and hearing everything in the same marketplace, and the ability to sell, can use cars within the group. And so since it's proximity, you don't have to worry about shipping or anything like that. So that's been super helpful on like the brand building side of things.
So did you spearhead bringing all the marketing inside, or was that something that was already established?
So when I was brought on board originally, they were using 3 different agencies. They were using Haystack, Showroom Logic, and DDC. And the original plan was either pick one of them, the top performing, to run the whole group, or to find someone like myself who had built paid search, who could bring it in house. And so for us, it wasn't just a matter of like quality; it was also cost. It was both. So when you looked at all the management fees for all the rooftops that we had, and you added that up, it was very easy to see that you could hire someone in house to run paid search and do call insertion on all that for less than what we were paying and all the management fees that we were spending. And then we really like to have control, right? Like if we need something done, I just ping my team or go walk out into the bullpen, and we go and we work on it and we figure it out. It's not like opening a ticket with someone and waiting for them to get around to it. And I think for me, the experience of having worked at an ad agency, they're for-profit companies, and rightfully so. But in order to maximize profits at an ad agency, you have to pile as many accounts as possible on as few people as possible. And so you tend to find that like your accounts don't get touched as often as they probably need to, especially in this day and age with the way that Google really wants to spend your money. And if you're not really paying attention, putting a lot of like guardrails around it with negative keywords and like the right key strategy, you end up with a lot of waste. If you're doing phrase match Facebook or Ford Mustang, and you're showing up for 1965 Ford Mustang hubcaps, like as a new car dealer, that's not really a huge benefit to you, right? So, and most agencies, they're just trying to sell that click, right, to collect that management fee. So I think it's a tough world out there. I understand if you're a single point rooftop, or if you only have a couple dealerships, it probably doesn't pencil out to do it in house. But there's eventually a size and a scope where it absolutely makes sense to bring it in house and have more attention on the accounts that you have, for sure.
What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, we're kind of the opposite situation of Nathan. Our group is fairly fragmented. We're spread across the country. Some of our stores aren't even under the Garber brand name. They're under the City brand name. So it makes it a little more difficult to scale marketing. When I started 10 years ago, I was actually a college student at Northwood. It's like a car dealer school up here in Michigan. My family owned some car lots, so I started working there when I was like 13. I would sell the cars on eBay Motors, and then when Autotrader switched to online, I was in charge of going outside all year round in the winter, taking photos and posting them on there. So I got in the business pretty young. And then started my own computer repair chain, and that's where I learned a lot about Google Ads. So we ran all the advertising for my computer stores in-house. Then I sold that and decided to get back into automotive. So at Garber, I presented, hey, this is what I can help do for one of your stores. So I started at one store, brought all the Google in-house. Facebook wasn't really a thing back then. And then just rolled it out store by store. And then when it became too much for just me to manage, we slowly grew my team, and now there's 15 of us. So we have a videographer, paid ads team, SEO, content writers. We have a performance manager. So much like an agency, we have a performance manager that puts together monthly presentations and visits all the stores, goes over last month's results, and strategizes for the future. And the stores really like it because we have their best interest in mind, because we're Garber people.
Yep. And what about, obviously right now it's not as important, but with traditional media ad buys, it's one of the advantages of an external ad agency is using their buying power and their relationships. Does that become any kind of issue for you guys at all?
Yeah.
No, I think
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons we're still using an outside agent, traditional side of the equation, right? Like they just have such a larger buy and such a bigger pool, and so we're able to get a really efficient buy. And so that's one of the reasons we haven't brought that piece in-house ourselves, for sure.
Yeah, we haven't brought it in-house either. So TV and radio is through outside agencies.
Gotcha. Are you doing the creative for those, though, Nathan? So you got your 3 video editor. I can't speak. Video editors. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do all the TV creative in-house. Our CEO Sean Del Grande, he's the voice and face of the brand. So he goes into the recording studio every month to do all of our co-op spots, and then our DGDG branded TV and radio. So we manage all of that in-house.
Man, that makes it nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lot more control over it, and obviously we're bound to, want to get the co-op dollars, but we squeeze in anything that we can of DGDG, even if it's just our Sean's voice and our music track, but it's still very obviously a DGDG spot, even if it doesn't have the brand logo in there.
Gotcha. And same with graphic design, guys. Yeah, is that happening in-house all around?
Yeah, graphics we do all in-house. So we have a graphic designer, and then we also automated most of our graphics. So similar to like AET or the Auto Sigma on the forums, we use a graphics API that automatically creates all our specials for email campaigns, Facebook, Google Display. So makes it really easy.
Well, you brought up Auto Sigma. Did you check them out yet?
I did. Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, it's very similar to what we built in-house, so it would be awesome for any dealership that doesn't have something in-house. Same with AET.
Yes,
AET's their AET's Facebook automotive inventory ads are really nice.
Yeah,
we're kind of
AET's James Grace, side. Right?
What was that?
Sorry, Nathan. I was asking Ryan. AET is James Grace, right?
Yeah. Him and Jeff Gonzalez.
That's right. Another Vermonter. Sorry, Nathan. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good. We're kind of brute forcing it a little bit more. We don't have the automation piece built out, but we have 3 full-time graphic designers in-house, and then we've got 3 people on the web development side to do a lot of the custom work that we do on the Dealer Inspire platform.
So do you have Dealer Inspire? Is that for all the dealerships?
Mm-hmm. and
that makes it nice.
And to still have like a DC needed site, but one of them's in the process of transitioning to a Dealer Inspire, so we'll only have our Subaru store still on DDC.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, and we're the same situation. We're all Dealer Inspire except for our Audi and Subaru stores until they get a more open program, hopefully.
I remember whenever I was at Mile One, that was always trying to figure out what to do. Do we have one, do we just go with one vendor and sort of do an in-house website? Or do we try and leverage, all the OEM mandated websites? God, that was pain.
Yeah.
Because, because what do you do with the OEM sites if you go down that route? So a lot of times they end up being sort of shelved, but you still have to have them. So what do you do with them? And trying to manage both of them just doesn't make sense. But back in the day, a lot of groups went that way because they just didn't. They didn't want to work with that vendor, or maybe they're already working with a vendor that they felt comfortable with. So they would just say, well, screw the OEM mandates and let's just bring everything under one vendor. But it seems anymore now you can jump on a dealer website and it's hard to tell which vendor. Is that a DDC site or? Mm-hmm. Or is it, and to our eyes, we probably know because we can pick out different things. But for the average consumer out there, then I doubt any of them know the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
There's
there's certainly been a lot of copycatting over the years.
Oh
So
yeah,
now we're kind
yeah.
of all looking and feeling the same way. That's one of the
Yeah.
struggles for us, and I'm sure Ryan's in the same boat where we want to stand out and be, we don't want to look like or feel like the stereotypical car dealership to a consumer. We want to always, like, we're in the heart of Silicon Valley, right? Like, if we're just doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, it's not. We're not utilizing the technology that's here in our space and breaking out. And fortunately, I work for a group of people that really are forward thinking, want to be progressive, want to be ahead of the pack, and also want to help like shift automotive towards a different direction. I think we recently, my boss and I, Jeremy Beaver, the president, did a presentation at DMSC where we talked about the disruption that's happening in automotive. And for the longest time, it was like, this crazy Tesla thing, that's never going to work. And here they are in our market. They're a huge dominant force in California. You've got Carvana, and you've got all these other companies coming up. Rivian is here in Silicon Valley as well, that also intends to go straight to consumer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so that is just, we can continue to laugh about it and say it's never going to happen, or we can just try to compete, and we can try to learn from them and take what they're doing and try to provide that to consumers in a more, for us, in kind of a regional scenario where we actually just bought a tow truck to be able to do like deliveries, and we don't know what the consumer demand is going to be for that, and we may end up having to buy a few more, but that's a good problem to have. So we want to try and just make it as easy as possible for consumers to do business with us. And I think that's one of the things in automotive that's always been the struggle. We've been in this like power struggle of like, how do you continue to hold control over the consumer instead of just give them the keys, make it as easy as possible, because that's what, not just in the automotive side, but like tech in general. Huge tech company, Amazon, like they just made it as easy as possible for the consumer. Now they're actually able to charge a premium for that. So I think if we can just figure out how to, as an industry, come together and just make it as easy as possible for the consumer, we're going to win, and we're going to disrupt the disruptors, is really what I think can inevitably happen if we all band together.
And there's nothing that, a dealership or a dealer group can't do that they can do. What are some of the things, I'm curious, what are some of the things that maybe that you guys have either done or accomplished to sort of set yourself apart from the competition?
Yeah. So I think on the digital retailing front, one of the things that was really important for us was we didn't want to have a really amazing online experience and then drop the ball in store. And when digital retailing first came out, you were cramming all of this transactional information into the comments section and lead. And it wasn't really in the forefront. It was, in trying to, get every online product specialist to open every lead and go to the comments section. Like, we just knew we were going to drop the ball once the consumer walked through the door. So it was really important for us to have an in-store tablet experience that tied to that online experience, where it was just really easy to pick up the ball where it was left off online. I think the other thing is like giving the control online to the consumer. Unfortunately, because of MAP compliance things, we have to allow the consumer, like the consumer has to put in their information in order to get into the digital retailing experience. But from there, like, we don't force people to start in one end and end out at the other, right? Like, let them do as much or as little as they're comfortable doing online. And then again, you've got that in-store process to pick up where they left off, where no one's guessing or looking through the comments section to figure out what was done online. So I think that was one of the big things that we've done as a differentiator more recently. That we really launched that shelter in place, and that's been a huge success for us.
Ryan, are you using or utilizing tablets at the dealership?
No, just in F&I. We're using the tablets for Darwin, but in our markets, I mean, we're not in Silicon Valley, so customers don't seem as willing to go A to Z for digital retailing online. During COVID, we went all in with Goose virtual retailing, which has been a huge lead driver for us, but a lot of our stores just treat them as leads without actually reading the notes, unfortunately. So it's awesome. I mean, when you get a store like Nathan's and they have the in-store process match the online process.
Yeah, it's funny how different parts of the states how different people are and how they shop.
Yeah, I mean, we have a store here in Michigan, in Caro, Michigan, and most houses can't even get broadband still. So, if that tells you.
Yeah, you actually have
Sort
customers who
sort of like you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you probably got customers who actually qualify for the Quarter Horse Association rebate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and we have a Cadillac point, and we're like, there's no way electric is gonna work here in the next couple of years. There's got to be a lot more. When the closest mall is, an hour and a half drive.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a challenge for most of the country, really.
Yeah.
It's not all like where Nate is or where Jeff you are 30 minutes from.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's quite different here. Because I mean, hour and a half, you're at DC metropolitan area. Some of the dealerships down there do a lot better with full, online digital retailing. You come out here, and as many times as I've tried to implement some type of setup with it, it just, just falls apart. I don't want to say it falls apart. It's just not what the consumer wants. Like you said earlier, Nate, it's like, make it as easy as possible for the consumer, follow the consumer, and our consumers just don't gravitate towards it yet.
Yeah, I think there's two sides of the coin with making it easier for the consumer. Part of it is, giving them a little more control in the process and making them feel more comfortable with it. But I think the other thing, and this was another part of our conversation when we were giving our presentation at DMSC, is making it easier for your teams to do business with consumers. So we're super fragmented in our industry in the communications side of the house, which is a huge frustration for me as the guy trying to drive opportunities to the dealership. So the fact that chat systems aren't integrated into CRM so that you can manage it all in one place, like call tracking's in a different place, and we can pump the recordings into the CRM, but it doesn't necessarily always generate a sales opportunity. That's a manual process. So how do you get all of these things into one place? And that's been a big hurdle for a long time. We've kind of chosen to go a different direction, and we invested a substantial amount of money into building out Salesforce Marketing Cloud, but then inevitably, as soon as we get that through the finish line here shortly, we want to get into Salesforce Sales Cloud on the CRM side and have one system, not organization. So imagine you sell a car, there's a trade-in involved in that deal. That shouldn't go to another system. It should be in the same system that everyone's logged into, and it just goes into a workflow to recondition that vehicle, have my team, merchandise it and put it online, and then get out to the front lot. So we've been in all these weird silos as an industry, and I think the more that you are able to consolidate systems and have less logins and less brain damage for your service advisors, your sales professionals, you're going to make it easier for them to do business, and then ultimately create a better consumer experience as a result of that.
That's ambitious. Going to Salesforce.
Yes. Yeah. Very ambitious.
Very, very cheap too. You don't have to do any custom programming or consultant hiring. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Chris Leslie saying, sounds like Techion's dream right there.
Yeah.
Are you using Salesforce currently, or is that going to be a transition?
So we're going to be moving all of our email marketing into Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So we're like 90 to 95% completed with that build out, and then it'll be about 4 to 6 months before we can start transitioning the sales operations into Salesforce, and then after that we'll really focus on how do you bring all of the fixed operations in there. But I really wanted to get away from today we email through 3 different systems, so Office 365, through Vin Solutions, our CRM, and then through X time. And so that's really confusing for consumers, right? Like if we could just get all that in one place, that would be better. We text from multiple systems, and then the number that we text from in Vin Solutions, you can't call it. Like there's just so much stuff that is like a really, on the communication side, it's just not intuitive for the consumer. And so we just want all that stuff in one place, and you don't have to look into multiple systems to try and just communicate with the guest, right? It should all be done in one place and be easier. My big focus is, if you can do all that, you can stop product specialists from just standing outside and hoping and praying that a customer comes in, and like they're actually there chatting with customers on the website, they're taking phone ups, like you have all that communication in one place so that they want to be there at their desk taking all those opportunities. And then I think it'll be hard at that point to get people to go and stand out front, to go and wait for an up to come in. But I think that's like the direction that I would really like to go, because it's far more productive. Someone standing outside doing nothing is not a productive use of time, especially here in California where we have to pay people hourly. So like, how do you really make sure that they're always focused on working with sales opportunities? So.
Wow. Yeah.
I think
That's a challenge.
For the people listening in who are constantly working on earning their next 30-day job extension, take note. This is how you earn a 3-year job extension right here.
Hey, let's set up a new CRM.
You guys can do it in 6 months.
Yep.
I mean, the biggest problem is CRMs are too task focused they've been like that for the past 20, 30 years. Now you really have to focus on customer engagement. Like, to find customers that are engaged in our CRM right now, it's almost impossible. You have to search and click on each one, read the notes. It's just not customer friendly.
Or find the customers who you might be able to buy their car from right now, right?
Yeah.
That's impossible.
Yeah, I think the
doing
CRM
a CRM
approach in automotive has been interesting, that it stays so linear, right? Like, make a phone call one day after the lead came in. Like, it's not taking into consideration a lot of times what that consumer is doing and what their responses back have been, right? So one of the things I'm excited about is with Marketing Cloud, we bought their interaction studio. So it looks to see what is the consumer doing on your website, if they're like a known entity, and then it will change the marketing process based on that. So like for me, as the VP of marketing at DGDG, I really don't care what car a consumer buys. I just care that they buy it from DGDG, right? I hope none of my stores are listening right now. But, for me, like, they might have submitted a lead at our Subaru store, and now they're shopping on the Hyundai store and they're looking at the competitive vehicle, but they didn't submit a lead. But now I know for sure that they're looking at this style of vehicle. And so how do I leverage the power of DGDG to get a message in front of them that says, hey, here's all compact utility vehicles in our inventory, and here's all of our latest specials on them. Let us know if you're interested, and like leverage the power of our group. Everything's been in automotive CRMs, it's all siloed by the individual stores, and so you don't really have the capabilities to do that. And so for us, being able to do something at this enterprise level of DGDG, that as the umbrella over all the different stores, I think that's one of the things that I'm probably most excited about, because that's not been something that I've had access to. And soon enough, after spending a lot of money, we'll be able to do that.
Well, I got one more question for you guys, and Jeff might have another for you. But on the marketing department end of things, curious if you're running all of your approvals through the store general managers, or having to collect like monthly specials and that kind of thing from the sales managers. Is there an established process, or is that just pulling hair out every month?
Yeah. For us, I think I posted on Dealer Refresh, but I definitely posted it on LinkedIn. We launched our own e-commerce website. So we built it, all of our stores log in, and it has all of the models. So they select, hey, I want to run a special on the Chevy Equinox. They click the Equinox product, and then they basically can add offers to the cart. So they can add a lease payment offer, a savings off MSRP offer, back when we still had those, starting at price, APR offer. type in all the details, add it to cart, send it to us, and then our automated graphics engine goes through and creates all the compliant ads and graphics and everything. And then for budgets, we run those by all of our stores, and our performance manager helps coordinate all of that.
That's lit.
Yeah, I think on our side, we're a little more, I mean, like we run it through the store if that store in particular is engaged, right? If they're the one reaching out to us saying, hey, I want this email blast made, I want these specials put up, I want to make this banner for the store, then we run it through them to get their feedback before we just, go and send it out or build it. Some stores we have to reach out and say, hey, you got to send us your specials, like let's get them up on the website, or especially right now when it's, it's low supply, high demand marketplace that we're in. But it is a pretty manual process. We have them fill out today an Excel spreadsheet that helps calculate all the different dealer discounts and net costs after rebates and things like that, and includes all of like the rebate disclaimers and things that we get from the store. But we're working on a system much like what Ryan's talking about today. So a couple of years ago, our CTO built a data lake on the Microsoft Azure cloud, and so we have like a HTML dashboard system that we've built that hooks to a lot of the information that's in there. And so we want to take that Excel spreadsheet and build it into the dashboard, and then have like a ticketing system on the back end of that. Because today we're just managing it through email aliases and inboxes and things like that. And so I want to have more like timestamp and making sure that we're working on first come first served type of deal with our stores, and not the person that came in right before the weekend and said, here's my specials, can you please get them up, right? Like making sure that
never happens.
Yeah, not at all. So.
Yeah, one thing that we started doing that really sped up time to market, before we just would send email reminders and it would take a week for some of our stores to get back with us. Now we started sending an email out to every manager on the same email with a scoreboard. Send the email twice a day. Highlight the stores in green that sent them and the stores in red that didn't. And now by day 2, every single store's in. So it's awesome.
Nice.
Got to do a little public shaming.
Yeah.
That's part of your job, man.
Yeah.
I think you just made a few people listening in a little jealous, Ryan. That system sounds pretty cool. I wish I had that. So, Jeff, did you have anything else you wanted to run through the marketing department side of the
No, I don't think
hour?
so. Nope, just takes me back to my days when I was, whenever I was with Mile One and sort of in the same position as you guys, and just trying to figure out what's the best way to streamline everything, how to make it, as efficient as possible. And it's funny to hear you guys' stories. Not much has changed. Although you guys are definitely at the forefront of getting some changes done, that's for sure. But I mean, how long ago was that? 8, 10, 12 years ago? Mm-hmm. And it's sort of sad sometimes to know that nothing has really evolved in our industry on the technology front like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the, I know like for Ryan and I, like we're on a group called Auto Genius, and we complain a lot about like OEM mandates and things like you got to use these providers, and
mm-hmm.
and it's really, I feel like it's really stifled innovation. The fact that we
mm-hmm.
have like a duopoly in the DMS space, like I was really excited to see Techion come out and try to really disrupt that market. We need more competition.
Mm-hmm.
What's your incentive as a vendor to really work hard? You're one of the few options that an OEM allows you to use. So I think that that has really stifled innovation in our space, and I hope OEMs open that up quite a bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
well,
I don't think your wish is ever going to come true anytime soon. I'm sorry to tell you.
I always wonder how many vendors. I mean, if you've been in the industry for a while, there's several key players that will go out, they'll build a product. They've got all the right connections to get it up, to get it running, to get it out there. And it's almost as if, they build these products because they know they can turn around within 3 or 4 years selling to one of the big people, one of the big companies, make a quick few million and, they've got a non-compete for 2 years. 2 years later, go through the whole cycle again.
Larry Bruce, excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my wish would be if an OEM kind of separated dealers from tier 1, like super progressive, like me and Nathan, to tier 2, happy medium, allow them vendor choice, and then bottom of the barrel, the dealers who aren't engaged at all, like, we're just going to run everything for you. But I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Maybe what would be better is if there was some sort of rating system, and it was like to figure out who are those dealers that really need that heavy-handed help versus the ones who like, you're free, just do, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I mean, one of the other things that I've been really hoping for is, I struggle a lot with trying to do co-branded advertising with our OEM partners, right? Some of them won't even allow us to mention the brand group, EGG, or anything like associated with it. And I just I look at huge brands like, if Apple and Verizon can do co-branded television commercials, why did you partner with the dealer group in the first place if you don't want them to say anything about themselves, right? It's like that's one of the things that's been a frustrating change over the last couple of years, where you're not only going to tell me who are the vendors that I have to work with, but that the group that it's associated with means nothing. And that we can't help provide a better experience potentially for your end consumer and drive better engagement. But I love that thought of, why don't you just hold dealers to a CSI standard, maybe a conversion ratio and a closing ratio standard and response time standard. For the dealers that are struggling, put some guardrails around them to help them get to where they need to go. But for the large dealer groups that have the resources, have the capability, take the risk off of it, allow them to do what they do best instead of handcuffing them and then ultimately stifling the innovation side of things.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, everyone on Dealer Refresh would be happy with that. So, why don't we flip over to Ryan's latest genius in recognizing...
Yeah, you got everyone fired up, Ryan.
I know. Ryan thinks we should all boycott the third-party websites again.
Was that a thread that you read on LinkedIn?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, I had stumbled across that too.
Yeah,
I was like,
we're still having this kind of...
I know. It's like, really?
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
Dealer Refresh we turned 16 years. And trust me, there's a lot of conversations that just continue to get recycled. And it's just like, God, we talked about this last year, 3 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 15 years ago. And we're still having some of these same conversations. So yeah, whenever I read that, I was like, I didn't even jump into the conversation. I'm like, really? Boycotting third-party sites? Yeah, there we go.
I like how this came over as a LinkedIn user.
Anonymous.
Although, you know what?
Great.
The past comment here, I'll throw it back up there, was Bill Playford. He's, maybe one day we'll actually explain how each program is the rev share is done with the vendors.
One day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And obviously the dealers pay for that at the end, but Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Boycotting third party.
Back to boycotting.
Yeah. So the real story here is something that you came up with a little while back, Ryan. I'll say last month. Was the newcomers. So Rocket Auto was the news that that sort of triggered it, I assume. And then Fair had also, I don't know if they came out before or after, but of course then Carvana, who is also making it so dealers can list their inventory with them. Is this the three newcomers versus the three traditional ones of Cars.com, Autotrader, and CarGurus?
I'd probably throw Carfax in there too.
Yeah.
They've been, they've been around at least with their vehicle listing marketplace for 5+6, and probably a little bit longer than that.
Yep.
But it does seem like overnight, a couple of newcomers decide to just, get into the landscape.
Yeah, and I mean, Rocket Mortgage, they're the largest online mortgage lender now. Not that I'm rooting for Rocket, but having newcomers helps push Autotrader, Cars.com, CarGurus to be better. So I'm excited to see what happens.
That one's the most interesting model of the three, isn't it?
Rocket.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they have their model fully figured out yet because they're not offering the financing themselves. They don't even have a payment calculator on their website. So it's a little half-baked right now, but I've heard that quarter one, they're going to roll out the full solution.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to have them on a Refresh Friday, so maybe we can get some better details on what they're doing.
Yeah, they used to, or they still do. Their BDC powered Vroom, so they were basically the BDC for Vroom, which I think this will push Vroom out of the mix because Vroom is somewhat less well executed when you compare it to like Carvana.
That's what I hear.
Yep. Yeah, if you've ever used the trade-in tool on Vroom, it's absolutely horrible. You go in there and it lists off like 50 checkboxes with the equipment name on the windows, or not even the window sticker, like the build sheet. So average consumer would have no clue what it is.
Oh wow!
You got to make sure it's got AM/FM radio. That's important.
Right. Yeah, I think people have been trying to figure out how to break this automotive mold for a long time. I mean, I remember like when I was still selling cars, there was like CarWoo came in and tried to revolutionize things.
I remember CarWoo.
There's always been someone trying to figure out how do you disrupt this market, because there is unfortunately a lot of friction points in the way that dealers do business, right? And so people have been trying to figure this out for a long time, and I feel like things really turned up when Lyft and Uber came out and disrupted the taxi industry, right? And then VC, venture capitalists came out and were like, okay, if we did it there, we can for sure do it here. And now you've just seen crazy venture capital coming in trying to figure out how do you disrupt this model. Despite all the failures over the years, there is crazy amounts of money coming in to figure out how to do it. So it doesn't surprise me that there's more and more players coming to try to figure out how to disrupt this industry. That's what we're really focused on. How do we change the way that we're doing business to better meet the consumer needs instead of trying to hold on to the reins and continue to go that route.
Do you think that's why dealerships continue to really I guess keep doing the same things over and over, is because we've seen so many failures and we're just like, we sort of turn the eye because we've seen so many come and go. We've seen so many companies try and disrupt, and really pretty much all of them have failed.
Mm-hmm.
My fear is there's going to be that one that takes over.
Well, does anyone remember that .com bubble?
I remember that.
I have deja vu right now, but
yeah. Does anyone remember the subscription model?
Yeah. You mean last year?
Yeah, our group, we never want to be
that was
because
that may have been one of the quickest to come and go.
Yeah, and that's why
I think the interesting thing is I think the consumers are driving a lot of this because they're getting these amazing experiences. I blame Starbucks for creating the worst generation of consumer ever, right? Because the customer's always right. And so like they think they should come in and get their free car because they, things didn't go right on their oil change or whatever, because they get that free drink coupon at Starbucks or whatever. But
those people do exist.
Right. But brands have been making it easier and easier for consumers to do business. Amazon's another like flagship example of that. And so consumers have just been expecting it from automotive for such a long time now, and getting it from so many places. And so I think there's probably some of that, like, hey, clearly people keep coming into this space and it's not working out, and they're investing hundreds of millions of dollars and sometimes billions of dollars to try and make this work. But at the end of the day, by continuing to do business the way that you've been doing business for so many years, you're still not giving consumers what they're looking for. And so I think if consumers are still frustrated by our model, then they're going to continue to look for these other ways to do business. So I think there's still a lot of people that are, hey, things especially right now are fantastic. We're making record gross profit. Why should we change? And I think, a lot of times people wait until the very last moment to make the change, because now the disruption has affected them and they're having to make, different decisions. Like for our group here being in Silicon Valley, like other places of the country have not been impacted nearly as much by Tesla as we have. Like when they launched the Model 3, like new car market share for all of our brands cratered. And so we were actually having to deal with the disruption a lot more than others. And so we were having to figure out, like, how do you go and like compete against that Tesla model and make people a lot more happy with not having to negotiate or not having to negotiate as much, things like that. So I think eventually, people will start to feel the burn from some of these disruptive models more and more, and they'll be forced to change. And we just want to be ahead of the curve, and we want to be doing it right when that transition happens.
Well, and because of where you're located, you have, you typically have more progressive companies that, keep you on your toes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's definitely a good thing. Just thinking about the, we've got Cars.com, Autotrader, CarGurus. I guess Carfax will throw in there as sort of the legacy companies. And then overnight, it seems, Rocket Auto, Fair's doing their thing, changed up their business model. I don't know where the Carvana thing sits in. I know that's sort of a beta program. Yep. Quite a few. I think I knew of 2 or 3 dealerships that were participating, but I guess they had to sign an NDA because they will not talk to me about any of it. Nothing. So I don't know if that's something that they're going to continue to do or not. I'd really be curious to know how that's working out for them, even on the the dealership level, how it's working out for those dealerships. I don't know. I don't know if that's something I would have participated in.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys or any of your stores?
Sorry, that's just my opinion.
Yeah. But
I'll count the 3 and everyone talk at the same time.
Is it my internet that's really bad?
Oh, it's funny. It's the 3 of you guys. I think it's hilarious because, I got the vendor internet, y'all have the dealership internet, and so you come in a little pixelated on the video, and your audio is kicking a little in and out, but it's working. Ryan's getting thrown off by his IT department, so
I know. But yeah, I think Rocket Auto gives dealerships that aren't in Silicon Valley or don't have a ton of rooftops the ability to compete against the Carvanas, because they're not going to be able to offer the experience that Carvana does. But with Rocket managing that, I mean, that's all they're going to handle is those types of leads. Whereas the average store might only get a few customers a month that want to go from start to end, and a lot of times they'll just end up dropping the ball because they're not used to it.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that that's your Vroom. So you said Vroom is actually using Rocket Auto or Rocket Loans. They were using their their in-house BDC to make all the phone calls and such.
Correct. Yeah, they have a call center downtown Detroit.
Okay.
Dan Gilbert. He owns
He's a rich man.
Yeah, I think 20th richest in the world, something like that.
I don't.
So one of the things that a lot of people and a lot of dealers miss is the fact that Vroom and Carvana do use call centers. So I think it's nice to note that and to say, that exists, because a lot of them are like, oh, well, they just have a really nice website, great photos, and they got a good way of showing payments. And people just click, okay, I want to buy this car now. And that's how they sell tons of cars. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
a lot of people think that.
If you go on Twitter and search Carvana, there's a million negative reviews with screenshots of their phone with 4-hour wait times. So,
yep.
They
I actually see more complaints than praises.
Yep.
The name of their game is volume right now, and they're picking it up. I mean, to your point, Nathan, with the VC money coming in, it's all about how much can we sell. It's not about how profitable can we be. So you continue to raise investment and stay in business under that model. Amazon's done it for, how long? Almost 2 decades before they started turning a profit. So it's something to be fearful of. And Nathan, going back to the beginning, you were bringing this up as like, hey, don't discount Tesla, don't discount Rivian. And I think the bigger threat for dealers right now are Carvana and Vroom. So that's why I say, if they're coming out and saying, hey, you can put your inventory on our site and we'll send you leads, screw you. I'm not feeding that beast.
No way. Yeah, I don't see any sense.
I think the
in
other
that,
interesting thing is like the bets that are being made by, we've had OEMs invest into some of these, disruptive companies, right? Like General Motors invested into Lyft for their autonomous driving division. You had Ford invest, I believe it was $500 million into Rivian. Not only has Amazon invested more than that, I think they were $700 million into Rivian. They also bought Zoox, the autonomous taxi company. There's so many ways that we're being attacked as an industry right now. It's not just how do we sell cars. It's like, how do we decrease your need to even buy one by having just a rideshare app on your phone that brings a robot taxi over? It's still in its infancy. I think we got a long ways before, global or even national adoption hits there. But, if we as an industry can just figure out, again, how do you make it just easier for a consumer to buy a car, less friction points, less time to transact, right? Spending less time at the dealership. You don't have as much a need for a lot of these disruptive technologies and companies out there. So I'd rather just beat them at the punch and compete and do the things that they're doing well, while they're still trying to figure out how to be a profitable company, right? So Carvana, they are selling a lot of cars, right? And their growth rate on used car sales every year has been tremendous, but their earnings per share is still negative, right? Because they have so much money coming into that bucket. Not even from just the VC side, but they're a publicly traded company, right? So you've got retail investors investing into that space as well. So they'll go as long as they have the cash to burn, and then I'm sure their business model will change tremendously once they run out of the cash, and they'll go on, how do I be the profitable enterprise? But they're just focusing on burning the cash now while they've got it coming in to scale the business as big and as fast as possible, because they don't have to worry about that. We as independent, as car dealers, we have to maintain a profitable enterprise, right? We can't just go and torch and light money on fire and have negatives at the end of the month, right? Or at the end of the year. So it's just a totally different business model. But eventually, I think they will shift and they will focus on profitability, and I think it'll be interesting when that happens.
Well, that's my question. I was like, what exactly are they trying to accomplish? If you're just going to blow through money, you're selling cars at a loss. Okay, there's an initial time where you're just trying to figure things out, figure out your process. But ultimately, at the end, if you, again, coming back to the customer reviews, and just last week, we just had a whole segment around customer loyalty, whether it's with the manufacturer or the dealership. are they trying to build like a base of customers? Well, if that's the case, I don't know if they're really doing such a great job at it. So ultimately, as what you're saying, they transition to some other type of, I guess, business process or structure. It's like I'm still trying to figure out exactly, what they're trying to achieve.
Well,
I think they're
point.
struggling with the same thing that Tesla is struggling with, and ultimately Rivian is going to struggle with. So when you think about our OEM partners, they have all the logistical networks that they need, right? They've got the dealer body in every city, whether it's a major metro or not. Like Tesla's still trying to build out all of their service facilities to address the needs of the servicing of their vehicles. Carvana, I mean, while they're not trying to service the vehicles, they're trying to recondition them at massive scale. Something that CarMax is obviously extremely good at doing, right? And being able to run that from a profitable standpoint. They need all these reconditioning facilities all over the place so that when they take in a trade or they buy a car, off of the street, they're able to take that vehicle, recondition it, get it up to market as fast as possible. So the capital that they're burning right now is all these reconditioning centers and their logistics network. And I think that's the interesting thing for if you're a standalone dealer, if you're like us, you're regional based, like we're never going to have that scale, right? We definitely want to do things from a regional base to be able to deliver cars within maybe 150 miles, but we're not going to be shipping cars to people on the East Coast and things like that Carvana will be able to do in that model. And so they will continue to stifle used cars and your ability to buy them at auction and things like that, and ultimately your ability to retail them, since they're a retail competitor. And I think that's the one thing that we as dealers are going to struggle with on the used car side for sure.
Yeah. I think one of dealers' biggest threats will be driveway, because they add new cars into the mix and fixed ops. So, I mean, Lithia is going around. They're already I think they just moved into being the country's largest auto group. And they're just basically trying to cover the map with locations so they can service the majority of the population, selling both new and used and service. So basically Carvana for all departments.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, they've got...
It's not just these outside companies that are trying to disrupt us. There's also if you're a smaller store or group, you also have our industry, these huge major public companies that are actual car dealers that are disrupting the space as well, that are seeing what these other big companies are doing and trying to adopt some of those models. So there's disruption internally as well as externally.
Well, you could also make the argument that the Echo Parks and the Driveways of the world are protecting the franchise dealers too. So as they're going up and forcing Carvanas and Vrooms and CarMaxes to compete with them, at a larger scale and maybe with better people in some cases, because they've got the experience from buying these facilities and whatnot. They know the marketplaces. Then there could be some hope in that they're hurting them a little bit, slowing them down. There's an argument for both sides.
Maybe.
I see that.
Yeah. I think they're probably also forcing more of the consolidation, the ownership consolidation that we've been seeing, over the years, right? With less single point operators, more groups expanding. I mean, we looked at that years ago and just said, you know what, we want to be a consolidator, not a consolidatee, and so we want to go and continue to grow the group and expand the footprint. And I think you will continue to see that, just not only nationwide, but I think globally.
Yeah. I mean, in the next year, I think there's going to be a lot of dealership acquisitions with Biden's new capital gains tax changes, and then the push to EV. A lot of dealers with no succession plan, they don't really want to go down that road.
Yep, the Rawls group is busy right now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yep.
So who do you guys who do you project to maybe win this marketplace battle? Who's going to step out into the lead, really differentiate themselves, and maybe, I don't want to say hang in there, but just evolve into what the consumer ultimately wants and is looking for here in the next, 3-5 years?
Or hold on, another way to think of that too is the government mandates of 2030. So don't forget we're on a move to remove fossil fuels from our roads.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true? What is it, this year or next year? I heard someone say this year or next year will be the last year of full combustion engines
being produced.
Made. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that too. I don't know how true that is.
Everything will be some type of hybrid or full EV.
I mean, we still have to figure out our electric grid in this country, and like,
yeah,
Nathan, you have no blackouts ever out there, I hear. So.
No,
Yeah,
we're all going to soon figure out what you guys go through with the blackout and brownouts. That's for sure. If things keep going the way it's going. Yeah, I hope everyone's
if
got
everyone plugs their car
backup
into the grid.
yeah.
I guess we will see.
Going back to Jeff's question, I think you're asking an interesting question. I'm curious to see what some of the main marketplace players are going to do to try and stay relevant with these newcomers coming into the market space. That you bring up another pain point for me, and that is every third-party marketplace is trying to tell you if you want to do digital retailing on the platform, you got to use the digital retailing tool. All right, so that is one of the things that I'm hoping that will open. Another thing that will hopefully open up, and just if you've got the best digital retailing tool, everyone's going to use it. Don't hold people hostage to that, to use digital retailing on your platform. Just make your platform better. Make it the best digital retailing tool out there, and everyone will come. But that's been frustrating. You want to do digital retailing cars, you got to use online shopper. You want to do digital retailing on Autotrader, you got to use Accelerate My Deal, right? I think what will be interesting is if there's a marketplace that comes in and just opens it up. Like, I don't know if CarGurus is going to do their own digital retailing thing like everyone else, or they're just going to go, hey, do whatever you want on our platform, and then that's going to just cause everyone to open up. Like, it just takes one person to make that difference. I feel like
it's almost like an open moment, maybe like an open API. You can say, hey, I want to provide full digital retail. Here's the vendor that we use. Here's our banks that we use, and just be able to plug it all in, while somehow keeping some consistency.
The ideal way to do it.
I do.
There's a more crucial way to do it as well. Like, all you have to do is like dynamic URL parameters. Plug in the URL key for the store, for the digital retailing partner, and then the year, make, model, or the VIN, and then you can just bring up that experience. I mean, we can do that today with our current provider, with Prodigy. All you'd have to do is just change what the call to action button links to and open up the digital retailing solution. Ideally, it would be, for sure, some sort of API driven, much more robust system. But there's a way to just like band-aid over that for the time being until something more robust can be built with the major players.
So it's going to be. It does go back. There is no financial incentive to a third party or a classified site to do that. It's in their better interest to control it and make sure that the code and everything that's in their platform is something that they can be responsible for. The shareholders will hold them responsible for it. All sorts of laws and things will hold them responsible for it. And the problem is that building these tools is incredibly complex. So trying to, even if you get supplied data from like one arm of Cox and then Cox is trying to take that data and give it to DealerTrack, and they're trying to give it to dealer.com websites and Autotrader, just trying to get each team who isn't incentivized to work together to interpret the data identically is a feat in itself. And you have other providers like MarketScan and some other ones, and the interpretation of their data is very different too. So You can have multiple vendors who utilize MarketScan, but one vendor doesn't understand how leasing works, and another vendor outsources it all to Pakistan. So it's like they don't even know what a car dealership is. So it's like you get all these different flavors, and I know that I think there's one website company that's even got 3 flavors of the same digital retailing tool, and just because they built it at separate times with different ideas, and it's going to be a mess for a while in that area, because doing a car deal in California versus doing a car deal in frickin' Chicago, like trying to lease a car in either of those places, man, that's tough. So. Yeah.
And it'll be tough for the third parties to shift to that model because they're so focused around leads. Dealers basically inspect them on the leads, and that's probably part of their downfall. Is a dealer they say they only got 30 Autotrader leads this month, let's cancel them, but they don't see, hey, they got 10,000 VDP views, this many phone calls, this many map views, stuff like that.
And this many people walking in.
Yeah, Cars.com reports on walk-in visits.
I'm sure we all wish there was a better way to show that attribution.
Yeah,
but
and
it happens all the time.
Yeah. At our group, we put together a report with all 4 third parties, and if we're signed up for all 4, we basically put a table. This is how many new VDP views on each site. This is how many used VDP views. This is how many leads. This is how many phone calls. This is how many engagements, and then this is the cost for each of those. So it kind of allows us to do an apples-to-apples comparison.
So do you do like a cost per engagement, cost per lead, cost per sale?
Yep. So we evaluate it on all of those metrics. Obviously, a lot of the times, a certain third party always performs the best, and then position 2 and 3 flip-flop sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be a third party you've got your face of their ads for right now, would it?
Surprisingly, they're not the cheapest. Carfax Carfax is usually the cheapest per VDP view across all our stores. CarGurus is probably usually the second cheapest, although their leads aren't as high of quality. And then Cars.com is usually third place. But the difference in between third and fourth place is substantial, whereas the difference in between third and first is a lot more smaller.
Oh, we'll take guesses.
Yeah. And you also have to consider some of the third parties drive a lot of new VDP, whereas others drive basically 0. So
True.
A lot of it's based on the store.
Yeah, we've been very.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens.
How do you strip away credit from your website from a sales opportunity standpoint, whether it's phone calls or leads? And one of the things that we've done with our database is we get a copy of every lead from our website, and Dealer Inspire includes the full landing page URL, which includes the UTM string. If it's from Google, the Google Click ID, we parse that out, and then we strip away the credit from Dealer Inspire and give it back to the referring source. And then through DNI, you're able to do the same thing from a phone call standpoint. So it's still not like a full multi-touch attribution, but it's getting closer to that standpoint. And then, walk-ins, unfortunately, it's all manual entry. At least now with the tablet process, we know we're entering in a lot more walk-ins than we did in the past. So we're getting closer to what we're hoping to accomplish. But I think a multi-touch attribution to understand that one customer, how much did every source contribute to that person buying a car, and kind of divvying that up and giving credit where it's due.
Yep, that's great. That's great. It's about, that's the best you can do with it.
The struggle continues, although we're getting closer. Well, guys, we could probably sit here all day.
Yeah,
right.
And we should do that in person sometime. We'll have to figure out a conference we're all at.
Have a party in Vermont.
Or do that. I'm down.
We didn't even get to talk about Google Ads waste.
We'll have you back on for that one.
Cool.
Sure.
Well, y'all, thank you for your time today and insights. And
Yes, Ryan. Thanks, Nat.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
for sure,
Fun
You
chat.
got it.
love to have you back on again, Nate.
No problem. Let me know.
All right, we'll do.
Will
So
do.
until next week, see y'all later.
All
Thanks,
right.
gentlemen.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, guys.